Now, Fordy always says that I bounce around a little bit like Zebedee from the Magic Roundabout, that I never stop talking and that I'm always on the go. He might have something on that, because we had a conversation the other day and he said, when do you actually relax? When are you quiet? When do you chill out? And I chill out now. When I got one of these in my hand and one of those going down a river like this, because there is something absolutely magical about stick float fishing on small rivers. The control element, the fact that you're out, the fact that you can completely immerse yourself in trying to get that in the right place. And it's no coincidence that through the course of this series, you will have seen us out on rivers like this on more than one occasion, because both of us absolutely love it. But there is a problem, and that problem is a very, very serious one. On the face of it, everything looks wonderful. There's nature around, the leaves are out, the sky's blue, it's beautiful. But there is an underlying problem, and that problem is a lack of water. And it's quite a serious one. In fact, there are rivers around the UK at the moment that are drying up. It's August. This problem has been going on since June. And I, for one, would like to know exactly what this problem is caused by. Why and how on earth, in this country of ours with so much rainfall, can we have an issue where our rivers are drying up and our fish stocks are suffering as a result? So, today isn't just about me, a lovely river like this, and a stick float. It's about me having a chat with a number of people that know exactly what the problem is and also how we can solve it.
I'm Dale Shackelford. I'm the fisheries manager for Reading District Angling Association. I've been doing it now full time for about 8 years and voluntary for about 15. Well, blimey, I've fished this river since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, and it just gets under your skin. It's just, I think if you cut me in half, you'd find Kennet water coming out my veins, I think. A few years ago, we had the drought, I think it was 2012, and I'm scrambling around getting all my kit ready here, oxygen kit, nets, etc., because I'm thinking it's going to pool in places. You know, it's constantly on your mind because it's ever changing. It's a living, breathing thing. The knock-on of low water is poor recruitment, the fishing's terrible. You've got banks that have dried out, you've got tree roots that have dried out. So the minute you start getting water back in the river, boom, all that lot comes in. You get bank collapses, you get trees going in the river. So immediately after you've had a bit of a drought, it's just an absolute nightmare to manage the problems that go with it. There's three things about managing a river: habitat, 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 and everything else will then come along naturally, and you just let nature take its course. The natural world is always one move away from a disaster. We get an extreme flood event, all our fry for that year get washed away. If we get an extreme drought, then we don't get the recruitment because the fish can't migrate to the spawning gravels. And we've got so much influence from us as a species. Urban development's my big thing. Someone somewhere has got to realise that every square foot of concrete that goes into the ground, water has got to find it somewhere for it to go. It's what's happening, it's just running straight off into the rivers. And it's just killing the rivers because we don't retain it, it's just going whoosh. And then we get the other end of it, because we're consuming so much water, we're taking the water out of the rivers. So when the water is in the river, it's gone. When it's not in the river, it's obvious we're using too much. Over the years, because we get feast or famine, the rivers are widening, they're getting over wide. So the knock-on of that being over wide is when we do get a drought, it's over shallow. So you're compounding it. Everything that we do, we're just compounding the problem all the time. Upstream water storage is a must. I mean, if you look abroad, they do it. And what they do then is they'll keep the water when it rains, and then they'll slowly release it into their river systems to maintain a steady flow. Because of all the runoff, you get a lot of silt coming down through the system, that drops out, sits in the gravel, and fish need the little pockets of water inside the gravel for their fry to live in for the first few weeks of their life. And what happens is the silt fills that in. So when a fish comes along and it's spawn, the spawn is actually sat on top of the gravel and not in the gravel. So you get a summertime flood or predation from crayfish or even their parents. They can mop up all the spawn. it needs to go in the gravel. Spawning time, the barbel, the chub, etc. come along, they can actually dig into the gravel, got a much, much better chance of recruitment.
Now we've actually got somebody down here from Thames Water. It's Will Barnard, he's the fisheries officer for Thames, and he's very, very aware of the problems that are faced both by the consumer and also by the public.
We certainly, Thames Water, historically, when we've been abstracting water from the Upper Kennet, it's been going to Swindon and being sent back out to the Thames. So the Kennet has been suffering from abstraction. But in recent weeks we've opened up the Axford pipeline. With thanks to having reservoirs all around the place, such as Farmore, we can now supply Swindon from Farmore Reservoir, and that's relieving the removal of 9 million litres of water from the Kennet a day.
Now it's vitally important that we have a decent river habitat, and water is the key to all of that, of course. How important are reservoirs? We just quite simply haven't got enough of them, have we?
That's right. I mean, we need to store water. You know, the fact of the matter is there's no more water being created, but there are more and more humans relying on it. And the best way to retain water is to store it in reservoirs. They're essential.
Putting it in very simple terms, you've got some money coming in, but it's being spent very quickly.
Quite.
And in times where a lot more money comes in, i.e. winter, as far as we're concerned, or when there's heavy rainfall, we just can't save it anywhere.
Quite, exactly that. Think of it as a bank account. Yeah.
So what else is going on in the world of Thames Water then, as far as fisheries are concerned?
Well, we work very closely with the Wild Trout Trust, who put on the Community Rivers and Wetlands Days. We fund lots of projects up and down the catchment, from small tributary of the Thames in Gloucestershire down to more tidal rivers, and each year we offer funding to the Trust, who bring us a wide range of habitat improvements and enhancements that benefit the community, not just angling.
One of the nice things for me is that you're actually an angler as well, that you get it, you understand it, and that's a link to be able to go further up the food chain.
Well, as you know, Rob, I've been an angler for an awful long time, and I truly believe Thames Water's message, and it hurts all of us when something terrible happens, but also we like to share the news when we do something good. And what's happened on the Kennet is a really good news story. As you've seen today, we're catching lots of silverfish. A few years ago that wasn't happening.
It's great to see nature coming back to the river, and a man who's been pushing for this for a long time is Campaigns Manager of the Angling Trust, Martin Salter. Tell me about your day today, Martin. You're catching a few?
We've just come down really to show the amount of small silverfish that are starting to reappear on the lower Kennet now.
There is an underlying problem though, Martin, isn't there? And that is that our nation's rivers are actually getting drier.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, if you look particularly in North London, where the local water company, Affinity, have got no storage facilities at all, so they're just pumping all the water out of the ground. Some of those rivers have dried up completely. The upper reaches of the Colne and the Ver and the Mistbourne and the Gade, they're in a parlour state. I mean, luckily we've had abstraction reductions here in the Kennet, and the river's in pretty good nick. But overall, we've got to have a national plan for water. I mean, if governments want to build more houses, and here's a nice fish coming in to make the point, if governments want to build more houses without damaging the environment, we've got to store water at times of plenty instead of running off billions of gallons into the sea, and we've got to ensure that the environment doesn't suffer as a result. Now there we are, that's a beautiful little chub,
fish, isn't it?
3-4 years old, successfully spawned.
Yeah.
No coincidence that it's after Del Shackleford and the Reading District have done the gravel cleaning down here, and chub, as we know, spawn on the gravels. So with cleaner gravels, with better habitat, we get better recruitment. That's the future of angling in a river.
Absolutely.
River
And it
like
comes
this.
back to that point that we've made time and time and time again, that we've just got to look after it. That's all we've got to do. It will help itself if we can help it a little bit. Rivers need their hand holding. We don't need to kick them all the time. We don't need to take water out of them all the time. We've just got to give them a helping hand.